One of the things that makes AutoPlay Media Studio so powerful is the ability for these objects to speak to each other. Basically, they can communicate freely. A Flash object can speak to a web browser can speak to a video can speak to a label object, and so forth. Basically, you can communicate from any object to any object. And it might sound a little bit complicated, but believe me, it's not. It's a lot easier than it sounds, and even though it's that powerful, it's quite easy to understand. So we'll just jump in. We'll take a look at a really simple example, and then we'll work through some examples, slowly building up to something that's a little more complex. So let's take a look at a very basic example. We'll add a button to our object from the gallery here. I think maybe for this one we will choose a orange pill. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that object, and I will actually align them just for the sake of neatness here. Oops, I had the to page option there. There we go. And I'm going to move them down here near the bottom. And we will change the text on the first button to say dog. And we'll change the text on the second button to say cat. And then we will add a label object to the center of our page here by clicking on this A icon in the toolbar. And here we will leave the text that says new label for now. That's fine. And we'll put it down here. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach actions to these buttons, and they're going to interact with this label object. So we're going to take this button here, I'm going to double click on it, and in the actions area, so under this actions tab, we'll select add action, and we're going to select a label. So from the drop down menu we'll select the label actions. We're going to set a label set text action. Okay. And in the text area here, inside quotations, we're going to type the word dog, and we're going to make sure that our label 1 object is selected. In this case, it's the only one on the canvas, so it's selected by default. And we'll press finish. Now to simplify the process, we're just going to click and drag over our action here, right click and select copy. Now we can just paste it onto the second button and change that one word. Okay? So we'll press OK. We'll select the cat button and double click on it to initiate the Properties dialog here, and select the Actions tab. Then we'll right click and select Paste. There's our original action. We can just go back here and change the dog bit to say cat and press OK. Now what we're going to do is we're going to preview this project, and what we're going to see is that these buttons are interacting with this label object. They're actually creating values inside that label object as we click these buttons. Okay, so it did that through actions. Now this is a very simple example of interaction. We're interacting just with these two buttons with a single label object. But you can extrapolate this to extremely advanced examples where you have multi-layered interactivity between objects of quite disparate nature. For example, a video, a web browser, a button, and a label object could have a multi-layered level of interactivity set up between them so that it's contextual. For example, in one situation it acts this way, in another situation it acts another way. So without getting into the details of that and getting bogged down, suffice to say that this very simple example demonstrates that you can communicate between objects. And for now, that is our main focus. So as we move through the next few lessons here, we're going to work through some example projects and work our way up to an advanced level of functionality communicating between objects.